Hello and welcome to Talkin Hearthstone, the podcast where, well, we talk about Hearthstone. I'm Tito Santana. This is episode 17. So, I had COVID this week. Still kind of at the end of it, I think. I think I'm past it, but, you still have the draining effect of it. This is the first time I've had it. Well, that's not true. I don't think. This is the first time I've had it since we've called it COVID. But in February, before COVID became a thing, both me and my wife got really sick and just got our butts kicked by whatever it was. And we're pretty sure it was COVID before we knew about COVID. But anyway, 0 out of 10 stars, would not recommend. It's going through my house. First it was my wife, then it was me. My kid isn't testing positive yet, but it seems like he has it. And so does my older son. So, it is what it is. Wear your masks when you're sick. Don't go places if you think you have COVID. Just do the right things. It's not that hard. It shouldn't be that complicated. But let's talk about other things. The patch just came out, and we've all been waiting for this. So let's talk about it. Portalmancer Skyla was a 5 mana 4/5, and now is a 6 mana 5/4. A 6 mana. It was a 5 mana 4/5, and now it's a 6 mana 4/5. So they just added a mana to it, which isn't surprising. People already on the internet saying, oh, big deal, they moved to mana. Mana's a difference. A lot of times it felt like you just needed that extra turn to maybe kind of assert yourself before Skyla could do their thing. What I'm hopeful here is that it's still playable, but it's not as high rolly as it usually is. Maybe that extra turn hopefully allows more decks to get under it, which makes the popularity of it less good. And that's all they're trying to do. I don't think they're trying to kill the deck. So I think this is a good change. I am happy with this. I don't know what else you do with it. I think if you move to 7, you kill it. I don't want to see it killed, but I definitely thought it needed a nudge. This is a good one. They've also taken Surflipod, which was a 5 mana 5/6, and now it's a 5 mana 4/4. And this is the beast that Battlecry next spell is cast when drawn. I don't see this as that big of a deal, but it might make a difference as far as chip damage. Get that thing off the board earlier. This is something that I'm sure stats have pointed to that said this is a good thing. So, I don't think this makes as big of a difference as Portalmancer Skyla. I wouldn't have been surprised if they would have moved up the mana cost of Surflipod as well, but they didn't. So, let's see how it goes. I think Mage's popularity will drop down. Hopefully it will drop down below 10%. And then we'll all be happy. It's been beatable. I haven't seen a ton of it, to be honest with you. And it hasn't really felt all that bad when I played against it. So I know my opinion on that right now is in the minority. For example, I know I've talked to Chanman V. He wants to play Warrior. Warrior has a very, very tough time with this deck. So he is going to be happy to see Big Spell Mage nudge because he just wants to play his Warrior. And that's the thing. It doesn't matter what the meta is currently. If you're somebody and you like a class and you just want to play it, you just want that to be viable. And that's fair, right? So hopefully we get there. Those were the only 2 nerfs. We also had Turbulus, which is a 3 mana. It's now a 3 mana 3/3. It was a 4 mana 3/3. And this is the Tourist Shaman. That is the Shaman Tourist that gives +1/+1 to all of the Battlecry minions in your hand deck and battlefield. People are curious, and I am too, as why this change needed to happen. Shaman seems like it's in a very, very good place. It's very diverse. It has a lot of different decks it can build. It is viable, so I'm not sure why Turbulus needed a nudge, but, I'm not particularly worried about it. That being said, maybe now Shaman will become a meta tyrant. Who knows? So a lot of people are upset, or at least expressing being upset because these are the only things that change. And it's not that people aren't happy to see Big Spell Mage get knocked down a peg, but why haven't they buffed everything else to kind of make other classes that aren't very interesting or aren't very viable right now a little stronger, like maybe Rogue or whatnot? And I have a theory. So this is what do you call it? Tinfoil hat theory. This last week was TwitchCon. But also around TwitchCon, there has been a lot of personalities at Blizzard, like posting on Twitter, hey, look at me, I'm with the orc statue, and ridiculous hat is in like every other picture. It's great. But there's a lot of people up at Blizzard right now. So what I'm assuming is they're doing the commercials and the gameplay and whatnot for the upcoming expansion, showing everybody what the expansion is and doing those fun little things like we had the airplane commercial last time, and whatever else. Like they had the deck building things that Raren did, and Housewife and Language Hacker and whoever else. They all did that. Day 9, I think, right? So I think they're all doing that stuff right now. So that actually does take a lot of the time from Team 5. The Team 5 that we know that do things like work on the card expansions and balancing and all that, Cora, Sage, Celestalon, whoever. So they are involved in these parts of the business as well. So I think what they went for was the high confidence changes that they usually try to go for. And they didn't want to mess with anything too much because they've been kind of busy and they didn't want to put too much into something and then have it break the world. The meta right now, you may find it boring, but the meta right now isn't bad. There's a lot of diversity, even with Mage taking up a good percentage, 15% right now, I think it is. But even with the Mage taking up a good percentage, you can do a lot of different things. I'm seeing a lot of different decks. I'm seeing all decks in all classes represented. If you're bored with what they can do, that's a whole nother story. But I think what they're doing right now is they just wanted to get a patch out to nudge Mage here a little bit. And I think in 2 weeks, when we get the next balance patch, which should be in 2 weeks, I believe, we will get a major balance patch, which will be kind of like the pre-new set balance patch. And we'll get like a bunch of buffs to these class cards that just never saw play. And it'll kind of maybe be a little bit of like, I don't know how often these things make a difference. Like a lot of times we get a whole slew of buffs at the end of an expansion, and maybe like a deck or two comes out of it, but a lot of them never really matter anyway. But I think we'll have stuff to play with in 2 weeks. So I understand. And if my theory is right, hey, I'd rather have them. Team 5 is spread too thin. That's not on them. That's on, Microsoft. So what can you do? So I just hope that they're having fun. It looked like they were having fun this week. And I think the nerfs and buffs were fine. I don't think the buff mattered or was needed, but I think the nerfs were fine. And I'm looking forward to 2 weeks seeing what maybe random stuff we can play. So we'll see how that goes. But I did want to address something. So right now you may be bored and you may be saying, oh, I wish there was more to do in the meta, right? We were just talking about that. So I have a duos match this week with Pilot, and we are just barely out of the playoffs, right? So this match really doesn't mean anything. So our opponent said, hey, do you want to just ban a few different type of archetypes and play some weird stuff? And we were like, sure, why not? So the deck lists that are banned are like Overheal Priest, which is sad because I've been playing a lot of that. Big Spell Mage, Big Shaman, a lot of just like the meta decks right now, Blood DK. So we had to come up with some random stuff. So my teammate Pilot came up with a bunch of different decks that we could play right now that we're going to bring on Saturday, which is our match. So I'll be streaming that probably think 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time Saturday, which I believe is the 28th. So if you want to come see me and Pilot play some duos, you can do that. But we're going to bring some weird decks this week. So I figured maybe if you are looking for something different to play, we could talk about them. Now, I haven't played most of these decks, so I don't really recommend any of them. I don't know how they play. I can't really explain to you how they play. Some of them I can. But this is just kind of hey, there's other things out there that you can play. If you're not if you're not super tryharding for a finish or to improve your rank as much as possible, or if you're just looking for something maybe different to kind of like, I'm bored in Hearthstone, give me something different. These are different. So that's all we're trying to do here. So don't take these as I'm giving you the next meta breakers or anything like that. I'm just giving you some fun ideas to try. And yeah, let's talk about them. So our first, let's see, right? Okay, here we go. So first deck we can talk about is a Rainbow Mage. Rainbow Mage is an old deck, but it's still a good deck. This is an interesting build. It doesn't have, I thought it would have the location. It doesn't. It tops out at Sif. It's got the ways to copy it. You got reverberations. You got buy one, get one freeze. You get stargazings, and you got, for some reason, one frostbolt. I guess that's just to get your frostspell in and to finish things off. But there's a lot of divine brews, so I'm guessing Sif plus the divine brews can be pretty strong. Wisdom Noganon, and you get the watercolor artist, which I guess just draws you your frostbolt and makes it free. So it's, if you've enjoyed if you've enjoyed Rainbow Mage, here's an option for you. It might still be good. You run Rayla Sand Sculpture, so I guess that's just mostly to generate minions, right? But it looks like a fun deck. I don't recommend trying it, but I don't recommend not trying it either. Our next deck is Mystery Egg Hunter. Now, this is a deck I've played various different versions of throughout the expansion, and it can still be really good. It may not feel that good, but you can generate so much value off of your eggs, and having multiple 2-mana Hollow Hounds is really, really good. You get the mystery eggs, you get the yelling yodelers. It has the Hollow Hound, always a bigger Yawmonger finisher. You get Absorbent Parasites, so there's a lot of fun to be had here. You get your Stranglethorn Heart, you get your King Plush, you get your Mr. Mukla. It's a pretty standard list. You do run Gorgonzomo for a little extra, just a little extra board there. But overall, this is a pretty solid, fun list. So I do recommend, I can recommend playing this one because I have played it. I have had success with it. And having all that extra healing is really good. And mystery eggs are a lot of fun. And I don't even know if mystery eggs needed to be buffed, but the buff has definitely helped. So this is one I can recommend. Our next one is Spell Mage. I think you're like, what? Didn't we just talk about Spell Mage? No, that was Sif Mage. That was when you have to play different spells of different spell schools, play the Titan, play Sif, and then, you go face. This one is more low to the ground. It's all spells. There's no minions. You are playing your cosmic keyboards, which are really important. You get spot the differences, manufacturing errors, reverberations, mostly to target, I believe, the enemies, but you also have the the elemental companions, which if you high roll and make the spells cost 1 less, or you increase your spell damage, you can reverberate those guys and send a lot of damage face. This is a kind of like a tempo spell mage. It's a lot of fun. I have played this too. It can be successful. I don't know how it is in the current meta, but I think it can be fine. So definitely something worth trying. Next up, we have Pipsy Paladin. Now, this is something I can recommend. I played 20 games with it yesterday. I am 50-50 with it, I think. It is a Taurus into Rogue. You have cards like Seashill. You have cards like Conniving Conman. You have a Grifters in there. You have Holy Glow Sticks. But of course, you have Pipsy. And what Pipsy does is it draws other minions when it death with the death rattle, and you have Living Horizons, you have Amethyst, you have Sunsapper, Lanessa, and Sandcastle. Any deck with Sandcastle. Sandcastle is such a good card. I did some really, really wacky things with this deck yesterday. It can get very strange, but it can be a lot of fun. Marlon the Manager can definitely help you get some minions as well. So if you want to play Paladin, and you're just not feeling hand buff Paladin right now, or Flood Paladin, this is actually, I believe this is I played a little bit of this earlier on. This is a deck I believe that Clark Hellscream refined, so it is viable. So I can definitely recommend playing this one. Next up, we have Pain Priest. Pain Priest. Now, Priest is not being played a lot right now. Pain Priest was one of the most fun decks I played during theory crafting. It's got potential. You got a lot of healing. You got Dreamboats. You got the Nightshade Teas to do damage to yourself and to minions. Acupuncture, Brain Masseuses, of course. Amanthul, because if I don't know what priest decks you don't want to run Amanthul in, but you get the Sauna Regulars, which are discounted from when you take damage. You get your Thirsty Drifters, because you play 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 1-drops. You get Powered Synchronizes, and of course, Chill and Vol'jin, which is really nice when you want to just take something big and transfer that damage. You have a Haywire power module Ziliax, so if you can keep that on there and have something else on the ground, you can swing with that, and then you could also then follow that up with a Vol'jin and under another minion. So there's a lot of good things here. It's a fun deck. I don't know how good it is in this current meta, but it's definitely something fun you can try. Zarimi Priest, I think we're all familiar with Zarimi Priest. Zarimi Priest is one of those decks that is still good. You can still play it. You can still have success with it. The only problem is people don't, and I don't know why. It's a really, really good deck. It's obviously Magace's champion of that deck. I've played a ton of it. It's fun. It's good. There's a lot of weird things you can do with it, but most of the time I think I win. You never get to Timewinder Zarimi, but having 2 turns in a row is pretty good, especially if you can play Timewinder the same time you play the cheese off of Gorgonzomu, and has had a few turns to ripen. So that is a deck you can play. Wishing Well Rogue. I actually lost to a Wishing Well Rogue, I think, yesterday. I've also seen some Mech Rogue that has been pretty good. So you can do either or. The Coin Rogue is probably one of the more fun decks, so I don't know how well you're going to win. And I could have looked up stats, but that wasn't the point of this. Wishing Well is a lot of fun. You generate a lot of random stuff. It's one of those decks that, hey, weird things are going to happen, and I'm here for it. So if you've been wanting, you get Sonya in there, it's because you get the 1-mana minions, so you can get double double legendaries. So if you're looking to play a little rogue, you can try that. You can also try the mech rogue. All right, so what else do we have here? We have a few more decks here. We have Pirate Rogue, which is I thought Pirate Rogue was going to be a lot bigger, to be honest. Like, Toy Boat is a really, really good card. Bargain Bin Buccaneer is really, really good. Treasure Distributor is fantastic. In fact, we talked about this on the Wild episode of Bread and Butter we just did this weekend. So it's really, really good in Wild. But this deck is pretty solid. Almost any tribal deck can do well. It's not super exciting. But if you like pirates and you like rogue, and it's a pretty nice little aggressive rogue deck, I can recommend that. There's also, we don't have this here, I guess it's kind of meta, but I haven't seen a ton of it, is Weapon Rogue. You can play a Weapon Rogue with the new 4 mana, give your minion +2/+2, and the Swarthy Sword Shiner that gives you, I believe, a 3/3 weapon. I forget exactly. It makes your weapon +3/+3. So it's a pretty decent card. So you have lots of options in Rogue. Maybe none of them are particularly going to win you a lot of games, but I think you could probably eke out a positive win rate with most of them. There's also Rainbow Death Rattle Warlock, and that yes, a BFU Blood Frost Unholy Death Rattle Warlock. And this deck looks weird. You're playing Ghouls Knights, you're playing Summoner Darkmarrow, you got Party Plan Avona in there, you got Ravenous Krakens, Nerubian Eggs, Elemental Geodes, Brittlebone Buccaneers. This deck is all over the place. It looks fun. I don't know if I can recommend this one. I believe I was told by Pilot that this is a deck that has seen various iterations and just never really kind of made it. But if you want to get weird and play that Death Rattle Warlock that we were hopeful for at the beginning of the expansion, there are lists out there. We also have, I will post the deck code for this. If anybody wants it, just let me know and I will get it to you. I'll probably post it after my matches on Saturday, just in case our opponents happen to listen. But there's so many options here. There's no way they're going to figure out what we're going to play. Now, what if I told you there is a deck out there called Black Rock and Roll Reno Rycleaver Warrior? You would say, Tito, that's a lot of words. Also, you're full of it. Correct. There is no deck out there. I tried to make it work. It doesn't work. There is no world where that is fast enough where you can actually make it happen. When it does happen once in a while, it's a lot of fun. You feel really good, but it's one of those like 20% win rate decks. I don't recommend it. However, there is a Menagerie Warrior out there that's running Drone Deconstructors, Gift Wrap Whelps. Yes, because, that's something that Warrior can do. It's got Backstage Bouncers, Sailboats Captains, Rockmaster Voon, The one amalgam band still sticking around. Pylon, Tick, and Ziliax, all you can eats, stereo totems, just it's all over the place. It's got all kinds of different minions because that's what a menagerie warrior does. I've played this deck a little bit. It's fun. It can be successful. It's not really what your opponent's expecting because they're expecting Odin or they're expecting Reno. So this deck is a lot of fun. If you like Warrior, I do recommend. And then we have one final deck left, and that deck is a really, really weird one. It is Treant Druid. It is running Huddle Up. Now, Huddle Up is a 7-mana spell that fills your board up with random Naga. And yes, random Naga aren't good because most of them are really cheap and don't have a lot of stats to them. And that's kind of what you want on a thing like a Scourge type card, right? Well, in a deck with Treants, you have this card called Cultivation. And Cultivation gives minions +2/+2. So there's some synergy there. I have played 4 games with this deck. It surprisingly is 2-2. I actually think there's some potential here. I'm going to play it more. It's a lot of fun. So I recommend, this is one I can recommend, at least that you're going to have fun playing. And in a limited sample size, it wins as much as it loses. All right, so there we have it. There's just a few decks that you can think about playing this week. I'm looking forward to seeing what the meta shifts into now that Mage is going to probably be played less. And if you're bored, that's understandable. This might be the next. I didn't play at all while I was sick. So from like Sunday till Tuesday, I didn't play Hearthstone at all. It was a nice little break. I came back. I had a lot of fun streaming last night. I was pretty energetic, enjoyed everything. Sometimes you just need to step away from the game for a few days. Your dailies will still be there. Don't worry about it. But you know, I think just wait 2 weeks if you're bored. I think we're going to get some spice in some buffs but this is just a low effort, high confidence patch. And, you know, I think we're going to be fine. So you can follow me on Twitter, Twitch, and TikTok, and YouTube. And if I'm not somewhere, just let me know. But you can find me at Tito Santana HS on all those platforms. As I mentioned before, this week on Bread and Butter, we had Schmoopy Daddy. We talked about if you're a standard player and you're wild curious, like now, if you're bored with standard, maybe it's the time to dip your toes into wild. We go over a lot of information about decks that you can possibly play. Budget decks, more expensive decks. Maybe some of those decks that sound like they're expensive aren't really all that expensive, and we'll tell you why. It was a lot of fun talking to Schmoopy Daddy. Great mind, a lot of fun. And okay, I'm telling you, if you're listening to this show, I'm assuming you already listen to Bread and Butter. Because why are you listening to me ramble here if you're not already listening to me, you know, interview awesome guests and talk about Hearthstone already on my other show? But if you are, I appreciate you anyway. If you're not subscribed to Bread and Butter, this is the week to do it, because next Sunday, this Sunday coming up, we release on Wednesday, but we record on Sundays. We have probably our biggest guest since World Champion Pocket Train. So I'm very excited for this one. He is a fantastic Hearthstone streamer and competitor. So you're going to want to listen to this one because I think it's going to be really informative and really good, and not only entertaining, but I think you'll learn a lot. I'm hoping to learn a lot myself. So yeah, I think I'm done talking, everybody. Have a great day.